Good evening, guys, and welcome back to PA Street Scene. For those of you that are new here, my name is Derek. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and also that notification bell so you can keep up with my latest content. Also, make sure to check out the link below to my Teespring shop, where we just released my newest t-shirt with an outline of my R32, available in men's, women's, and children's sizes in t-shirts, and also available in hoodies in adult and child sizes. We are in my dining room tonight because I have an awesome project, so let's get started. Alright, so as previously stated, we are in my dining room, and you can see my beautiful kitchen table here that we very rarely actually eat at. It's more of a project table, so if you could see underneath these trash bags, it looks like a war zone. We do painting, all kinds of stuff on this table. But today it has my new seats on it, and when I say new, they're not new, but they're new to me. I got rid of the R32 seats a while back and traded them in on this set of Recaro SR2s, which I think are going to be awesome. I know a lot of people were upset when I got rid of the R32 seats because of, being purists with the R32 line. I know they're super rare, but my plan is to cage the car eventually, so I wanted something that had harness holes in it, and I found a gentleman up near Selinsgrove who was willing to trade me straight up. And the cool thing about these, even though they need a little bit of work, they're already mounted on Sparco rails and sliders for the Mark IV platform. He actually had an R32 as well, so it's a direct swap. They're going to need a little love, but I think they're going to be worth it in the end. They just need some cleanup, and that'll be a future project when we start dealing with some of the surface rust on these rails. And whether or not I'm going to repaint them or powder coat them is yet to be seen. But tonight's project is something that I've wanted to tackle for a little while, and that is a sizable rip in the side bolster. My R32 seats had side bolster issues as well, but this only really seems to have an issue in this one area. This is the driver's seat. The passenger seat of the set is pretty much mint, which you will find with a lot of racing seats. Obviously, the driver's seat's going to get a lot more wear and tear than the passenger seat will. But I've wanted to test out a product for a while now, so I finally went and got it. And I think we're going to have an interesting experience, so I wanted to get started with that. It is a leather and vinyl kit for repairing from a company that I really couldn't find out how to pronounce the name. In a couple of the YouTube tutorials that I watched, it was pronounced Coconix. Some people were also calling it Coconix, but I think it's Coconix. So basically, it's a liquid patch that in this particular kit, it's just for different shades of black. They also have a multicolor kit where you can mix custom shades for, tans and reds and browns. But this one is just for black and different shades of gray. So I think it's going to be a pretty easy kit to use. It comes with 2 tubes of the black, 1 tube of white, an applicator brush, a spatula, some backing cloth that I'll show you the purpose for in a little bit, a mixing cup, and some instructions and kind of company swag. Alright, so step 1 in working with any kind of material like this, you're going to want to wipe down the area around the tear with a little bit of rubbing alcohol like you would have in your medicine cabinet, just to remove any oils and debris that could possibly be around where it is. That's going to help promote adhesion of the product. And as you can see, it's already starting to evaporate. You can actually wipe it down just a little bit. The dry area on the towel. Give it a second. Now the first step after that they want you to do is they want you to cut out a patch that's going to be tucked into the interior of this hole. In normal circumstances, if all the padding of the foam was still there, that would be fine, but because it's gone in this little section right here, I actually took a piece that's layered up. It's got about 4 layers here just to give it some thickness and some structure. So I'm going to put that in here. And they give you a little spatula tool to help with this. We'll see how we do. This might be a little goofy. And honestly, I'm probably going to need to wipe it down with rubbing alcohol again, now that I'm using my fingers, because your fingers do have oil on them. And that gives it a little bit of bounce. As you can see, it's pushing out a little bit to kind of emulate the foam. And as you can see, there's a little tear here too, so that should take care of that. This area is going to be weird because it's going over stitching, so we're just going to have to do our best. I'm probably going to end up swapping this seat with the passenger seat. The good thing about these Sparco brackets is they're interchangeable, so I'll probably move this seat over to the passenger side just so it doesn't get a whole lot of wear on it, because I typically don't have passengers in the car, and it also won't be so noticeable. So I took a look at the instructions quick. Basically what they want you to do is they want you to run a bead around the inside edge where the leather or pleather or whatever you're working with is contacting this backing cloth, just to kind of create a seal, and then you're just going to fill in the gap. Because I'm using black on black, I don't even need to worry about the mixing cup. That's more so if you're trying to get a lighter shade, more towards a gray. Okay, so it is the next day. I'm actually at home on my lunch break from work. I'm lucky to live within a pretty short distance of where I work, so that affords me the opportunity to come home and work on projects. As you can see, the compound has shrunk back a lot. It has sealed up these edges, and it is still very pliable, very shiny. I'm hoping that once I wipe this down with some rubbing alcohol afterwards, it'll cut down on that shine a little bit, but also some leather reconditioning on this should shine up the leather, kind of make it blend in more. Very obvious where the spots were, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the provided spatula, go back through with a very heavy coat as my second coat to kind of fill this in a bit more and smooth this out. Alright, so once again, I'm going to let this sit for a little while once I go back to work, and when I get home tonight it should be dry and we can either hit it with another coat or start working on knocking it down a little bit. So I'm back home after my day at work. The layer that we put on during my lunch break is dry. There's no real tack or anything to it, still pliable, and definitely getting a lot more build than there was before, but it's probably going to take another layer or two. Alright, so hopefully this is kind of the final steps on here. First things first, coverage looks pretty good. Not super happy with how lumpy it is, so we're going to try to take care of that in a minute. Another thing I did notice that I did off camera was I gave it a quick wipe with some rubbing alcohol, and it did seem to take some of the sheen off of it. It still has a sheen to it, but I didn't really go in hard. I just wanted to test it. So right now I think what I'm going to focus on trying to do is knocking this down and smoothing it out a little bit. And I'm going to try that with some wet, dry sandpaper. I'm going to start off dry, see if that helps, and then if not, I'm going to go back in with it a little bit wet to kind of smooth it out a little bit more. And if worse comes to worse, I have plenty of this stuff left. We can go back in with a skim coat. So let's get started with that and see what that does for us. Let me grab my cloth here. That's already a lot better. Like I said, I realize it's not going to be perfect. This was just kind of a test to see if this product worked. Now it is very tacky. Not quite to the point of leaving fingerprints, but it's definitely tacky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a little bit more just in between this stitching to kind of give it that ridge effect like it has here, where it's kind of bubbling up. And then I think that's about as good as we're going to get. So let's see. And this stuff comes off your fingers pretty easily, which is nice. Alright, so we're all done. I think it's about as good as it's going to get. And let me show you the results. Off camera, I did go over it a little bit with a skim coat again. As you can see, it's not perfectly smooth, but I think it's pretty good. There's some kind of metal structure from the seat coming in. I think it's actually supposed to be more like that, so it's definitely applying pressure there. But I think for now, at least, this is a good temporary fix. Ideally would be getting the seat recovered. This center portion starting to sag a bit, and these wrinkles I'm hoping to be able to take out with a heat gun. But for a passenger seat that's probably not going to see a lot of seat time, I think it's going to be alright. So I'm going to end this video on the note that I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. The good things about the Coconix kit, if you're going to try it out, honestly, pretty easy to work with. Not a whole lot of different steps needed. For my use, it was a little unusual. I don't think this was really the main purpose of this product. I think they're looking for more like if your dog scratches it, or if something stabs through it and leaves kind of like a razor cut or something really small. But even for this, it did pretty well. So the goods being, it's less than 20 bucks on Amazon, not super expensive. This was the top rated leather repair kit on about 10 different websites I checked out, so it definitely has a good backing behind it. Lots of positive feedback on Amazon. So I would say definitely try it out. A couple of the negatives, it's not perfect. Like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with my inexperience with the product. But my major qualm with this is something that it could really benefit from if they decide to redesign the product or repackage it. Some of the other kits featured either textured sheets or like a polymer resin that you could use to pull some of the texture from your leather or your pleather or, you know, whatever fabric you have on your seats, and you could use that with either heat or while the epoxy or whatever you were using is still wet, and you could kind of continue that pattern onto it. As you can see, all the areas I did are pretty smooth, so there's no real texture or anything there. But it's going to be in the dark. This is going to be my passenger seat, and I don't think it's going to be seeing a lot of use. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. Make sure to give it a shot. This is the black kit for if you're doing black or gray seats. Like I said earlier in the video, they have a multicolor seat kit, which is pretty cool too. It comes with about, I think, like 10 different colors on it. So yeah, if you end up using it, make sure to tag me if you take pictures of it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and also the notification bell so you can keep up with my latest content. And I'll see you guys next time. Later.